Welcome back to the Redemption Story Podcast. I'm your host, Tamia Kenner, and I am thrilled to be back after a year of reflection, growth, and renewal. We've got a fresh new season ahead of us, and I'm excited to share some new perspectives, stories, and conversations that will inspire, motivate, and maybe even challenge you. Now, for those of you who are new, this podcast is about redemption, finding hope, healing, and purpose in the midst of life's struggles. While my faith is at the core of who I am, I want this space to be inclusive, welcoming, and relevant to everyone, regardless of your background or beliefs. So let's dive in and explore what it means to live a life of purpose, passion, and redemption. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are now in season 3 of the Redemption Story podcast. Oh my goodness. You guys, I have missed you so much. I took a year off, I know, but I have missed sharing my stories. I have missed just giving advice and just talking about different topics. I love to talk and I've missed using my voice. And here I am, and I do not plan on taking any more breaks anytime soon. A lot has changed. So, what has changed since our last season? For me, I got married. That was the biggest thing for me that has changed, and I love marriage. I love being married to my wonderful husband. I love my children. Um, just finding my purpose. It's been a year of learning, growing, figuring out how to make this podcast more impactful and relatable to a wider audience. Definitely growing my relationship with God so that I can use my life to help somebody else who may need to hear, another perspective. Maybe you need to hear a story or just, some advice for healing or forgiveness or whatever it is that you're going through, just finding meaning. um Definitely my podcast is not just for Christians. I want to say that. I cannot stress that enough. It is not just for Christians because I want to help people all over the world. It's not about I only want to touch people who believe in God. No, I want to use my voice to help you, whether you believe in God or not, whether you're an atheist, whether you're a Muslim, whether you believe in Allah, whatever it is you choose to believe, if you even have a belief. I want to be that voice. I want to be able to use my voice to say, hey, let me help you get through life struggles. Let me help empower you. Let me help you heal, um, because life is not 100% perfect. It doesn't matter what you see on social media. It doesn't matter how you can paint a picture of how perfect your family is or the pictures that you post. We all go through things, and sometimes it's good to have someone we can talk to. Sometimes it's good to listen to a podcast that um has a conversation or a discussion about something you're going through. I still listen to podcasts. I've listened to podcasts in the past when I'm going through something, and sometimes they help when I'm walking in the park or when I'm working out. It's good to just listen to a podcast. You never know what you will learn. Despite whoever's behind the mic, their personal life is not too important to me if what they're talking about is helping me get through something that's really tough. But today, I just want to talk about finding your purpose through faith, uncovering your calling. And I know, sometimes there might be somebody out there, that's just going through life's motions, not really walking in their purpose, because when you're not walking in your purpose, you're just getting up. It's every day is a routine, you get up, you go to work, you do your daily things that you need to do throughout the day. And then boom, you go back home and you go to sleep and then you do it over again. So if you find yourself like just going through the motions and just don't have a sense of meaning, and you want something different, you want to wake up just looking forward to something, not just looking forward to work, but just looking forward to making a difference. Like this episode is for you. This podcast is for you. If you want to find meaning in life, if you want to figure out what it is that you can do to make a difference, if you're just stuck and tired of doing the same thing every day and you're like, I need something new, I'm bored, I don't know what I want to do. I just work and I go home, or I just work and I take care of my kids, or I take care of this person, or I just get up and I just do whatever I want. but I want to find meaning in life. This episode is for you, and I'm glad that you are listening. And if there's someone else in your life that could benefit from listening to this, definitely share this with that friend. Share this with that coworker, whomever, spouse or partner, whomever it is. Definitely share that with them. So, first, before we dive deep into finding your purpose, we need to understand the importance of finding your purpose. It's very important. When you find out your purpose, your meaning in life, it gives you motivation. It gives you a reason to get up out of bed. It gives you a reason to keep going to whatever goals that you may have. Um, it also just gives you this sense of meaning. Like, I'm born to do this. You wake up and you're like, you know how important you are because what your purpose is. Um, that's something I have dealt with time and time again, especially the younger me, is what is my meaning? Why am I here? I know what I'm good at. I know what I want to do. But what is my purpose? What do I need to do to create meaning in my life? Finding your purpose, it also gives you a strong sense of identity. You realize who you are. You're not just your name. You're not just your job. You're not just a mom. You're not just a father. You're not just a boyfriend, a husband, a wife, or a child. You have an identity. Your purpose tells you who you are. Not only that, it brings you happiness. Routine. I'm not really a big on a routine. I'm gonna say that now. I love waking up and just saying, like, let's see what the day is gonna bring. I have certain things that I do on a daily, like working out, taking care of my children, homework, but then those extra gaps in between, like I want my day to day to be something different. I want to see someone at the store and I want to encourage them. I want to go to the park or to the gym and just interact with different people all day. Like it brings you so much happiness when you truly find your purpose. You are so happy and all you want to do is doing all you want to do is your purpose. That's all you want to do. And so I'm over here getting excited about it, just talking about it because I know that feeling. I still have that happiness, that sense of meaning because I know my purpose and I'm doing that. I'm using my podcast, I'm using my voice, but it wasn't always easy trying to figure out what my purpose was. And also, your overall well being. Finding your purpose is crucial for your overall well being, for happiness, for health, for meaning in life. Um, there are a lot of people I've seen, even I've been through this, where you don't even know your purpose and you're just going with the flow. You're just taking and just going with the wind. And personally, everyone has their own perspective. Everyone has what they choose, how they choose to live their life. But from experience, not knowing what you are created to do, it cannot compare. Like it's not a feeling I want to go back to. Since I found my purpose, I've enjoyed life. I wake up. I have several callings. Finding a purpose is not, sometimes it's not just one thing that you do. Sometimes you have so many things that you're called to do in life. And to know that I have so many talents and that God has blessed me with so many gifts that I can use that, whether it's hospitality, whether it is to encourage somebody, where is my compassion, where is my ability to adapt in different types of environments. There's so many things. I can talk to all types of people from all types of places. Not everybody has that gift to be able to do that. And one thing I can say my purpose is helping others. I love helping others. When I've helped somebody, I'm so happy as if I'm the one that's getting help, but that brings so much meaning to me when I can help someone and I see how much of a difference it has made. And I truly believe that I've got that from my mom too. Seeing her help so many people has definitely inspired me to walk into my calling and inspired me to walk into my purpose. I've seen her travel the world doing missionary work. I've seen her do missionary work in our hometown. I've seen her care for the less fortunate, those who were overlooked. I've seen her stick her neck out and help help people that even the church would turn away, which I admire about her. And I strive every day to be just like her or even better. I know that's going to take time, but understanding your purpose. Why are you created? Why were we created? And when I think of why we were created, it reminds me of a Bible verse in Ephesians 2:10 that said, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." So we were already created to do God's work. Whether we know it or not, God had already designed for us to do his work. He had already intended us to do good works for him before we were even made. It's crazy. It's not really crazy, but it's what's the word? It's beautiful, it's life-changing. It's amazing to know that you're alive because you were created to do good. You were created to help other people. And I think if I wake up every day with the mindset like I'm here to help others, of course I have to take care of myself, but I'm here to make a difference. I'm here to inspire. I'm here to empower somebody else. This verse, it calls us to embrace our identity as God's creation, to live out our faith actively and find opportunities to make an impact in the world. There are so many opportunities you can take. You can volunteer to helping other people. um One thing I've been interested in, I have not done this yet, but it's something I've prayed about and I've talked to God about, is just being a mentor to younger children, like the big sister, the big brother, to foster children, especially children who don't have a role model, or children who don't have a home. I think it's important that especially by them being the next generation, we never know what our children are really dealing with mentally. And if we're not helping our younger children, they will grow up to be adults who are just unhealed, who have trauma, who have wounds that was never cared for. And sometimes it's hard to pull back the layers when you're an adult of things that happened in your childhood. And it's hard doing that. It's hard to look back. It's hard to face the facts. Sometimes it's hard to face reality, and I just truly believe that it starts when we're young. A lot of people didn't have somebody to reach out their hand and say, "Hey, I care about you and I want to be here for you. Talk to me and I will listen." So that's just an example. Not only that, you can volunteer at a shelter. What else? You can volunteer at the church. You can give back to your community by doing food drives, not just a food drive, clothes drive. You can go feed the homeless. One thing I love to do is I love feeding the homeless. That's something I have done for a very long time, since a little girl. Growing up in church, my pastor and some of the church members would feed the church. And I remember one year, I think it was like 2016, I decided to get a group of friends and we made sandwiches, snacks, and we went out and we just walked around the parks where we knew the homeless were camping out, and we decided to feed them. We gave them sandwiches, we gave them bottles, and they were so grateful. And I learned a lot from that experience. I think the experience was more for me than just, you know, my goal was to help somebody else, but honestly, I think talking to them and interacting with them and just getting a different perspective on life, that helped me. That helped me push harder, not because of just seeing them in that instance, but just knowing, hey, like, it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You can inspire anybody. There has been so many times where um I'm thinking I'm doing somebody a favor, but in reality, it's doing me a favor. Um, and it's crazy how you can learn even from those who don't look like you. You can learn from those who do look like you. But I encourage everyone to find your passion. We're God's children and we're created to actively do his work. We're created to show kindness. We're created to show compassion. We're created to show love and empathy. And as the as this world is continuingly to evolve, and technology and social media, lately I have not seen a lot of compassion in the world. I've not really seen a lot of empathy in this world. And I think that if we make it a priority to wake up and say, hey, let me make an intentional act to show compassion to somebody today. Let me see things from another lens today. Let me not be selfish and just only focus on me today. If I see somebody at the grocery store, let me offer to get their buggy from them when they're at the car, or if somebody drops something, not even that. Sometimes you never know who's having a bad day. So you see someone who probably looks irritated or mad, or you just see somebody by themselves. Hey, I love those shoes. Hey, I love those earrings. Oh, I love your shirt, even if it's just plain shirt. Or hey, you're so pretty. I love your hair. It's just the smallest compliments or the smallest encouragement could really make somebody's day. And you don't have to do anything big or grand gestures to say that you're living out for God. It's something just small as saying, "Hey, you look really nice today," or "Hey, I really like that." Or if someone calls you, "Thank you for checking up on me." Or you can call somebody else and say, "Hey, I was thinking about you and ran across my mind, and I just want to let you know that I love you and I admire you and you inspire me." That's something I did not too long ago. I was just like, you know what? How often are people really getting phone calls or texts that says, "Hey, I see what you're doing and I'm so proud of you." How often do you get that? You know? And how often do you do that to those around you? How often are you going out of your way to call a family member or a friend to say, "Hey, I don't say this a lot, but here it goes." And I think that's important as well. Also, our purpose, it's tied to our passions. If you want to understand your purpose, if you want to figure out how to find what your purpose is, think about your passions. What do you value? And what are your strengths? I mean, my passion, I would say, sharing stories, just getting different perspectives of life, researching. I do have a strong passion for investigation and researching, and I love to share what I find out. And I think that's part of my journalism, that's part of my podcast. I go study the word and I ask God, help me to find a message that I can talk on my podcast about and I can help somebody else. Also, I'm in school for media communication. So when it comes to journalism, I'm sharing stories. I have my own website where I I write blogs about different articles. So if whether it's sports or lifestyle, you go read them. It's usually inspiring. I try not to write anything that degrades somebody or tears anybody down, because that is not what my purpose is. My purpose is not to put anybody down. My purpose is to empower and inspire. So that's what I want to focus my stories on. And I chose to pursue a career that is in journalism, where I can use my voice, where I can use my strengths, my talents to help somebody else. I also value faith. I value family, which is why I'm also doing this podcast. I I definitely I value unity. I value our character. My biggest thing is my faith in God. So that's why I chose a podcast. I was like, God, I want to do your work. I want you to use me. And however you want to use me, just reveal that to me. And I believe my voice. I've always, since a little girl, I've always been able to use my voice. Back in my younger days, I had a very loud voice. There was times when I was shy, but when I spoke, you know, it was I always got compliments on my voice. Like, "Oh my goodness, your voice is this. Oh my goodness, your voice is that." And I was always asked, "Hey, can you introduce this speaker? Hey, can you say this speech for church? Or can you?" Like one time, I was asked to introduce the mayor, Birmingham's mayor, Mayor Langford, one time, and I'm like, "Why am I introducing him? And I'm young. I'm younger than all these other girls that could do it." But it was my voice, and funny thing is, after I introduced him, he called me back up to the stage and he gave me $100. So bravery, bravery. Use your voice. Use whatever gifts God has given you, whether it's dance, whether it's your hands, whether it's art. I'm telling you, art can inspire people. I love art. When I go to the art museum, I'm inspired all the time, whether it's art, music, if you love to sing, if you love to rap, I mean, you can inspire so many people. What else? I have a brother who is a firefighter. He inspires me every day to keep going to help other people. If you're a teacher, my mother was a teacher. She inspired me, and that's why I have a part-time job where I sub for elementary students because my mother inspired me to help younger children. And I don't mind going out of my way to take a break of whatever I'm doing to go to school and invest in children's education because I believe that a child's education is very, very important. That's why we have doctors and lawyers and nurses and so many different job fields and people because they had to go to school. They were once kids too. So I admire teachers, I admire firefighters, I admire police officers, doctors, lawyers, anybody that is pursuing a career that helps other people. Whether you're cleaning, whether you're cooking for somebody, when you're serving, you're helping others. And little do you know, whether you like it or not, you're actively walking in your calling when you're serving somebody else. You're actively doing God's handiwork, doing what He created us to do. Also, you can look into your strengths. Your strengths can also lead you into your purpose. Um, my voice is my strength. I mentioned earlier. Um, my compassion, I would say, is my strength. My humbleness is a strength as well. There's so many strengths that you can do if your athleticism is your strength. I've seen basketball players use their gifts, football players. I've seen professional wrestlers use their gifts. My husband, he's a professional wrestler and he uses that gift. When I see him go out there and he go wrestle and he gets into the crowd, the children are asking for his autograph, they're asking for pictures. He's using that moment to touch a little kid's heart. He's using that moment to encourage another child. Whether he's a bad guy or a good guy, for some reason, them children love him. Even when he's a good guy, those children are screaming at the top of their lungs, easy money, easy money. That's it. Like, they love him, and he inspires me so much with his gift of wrestling. Like, he's a wrestler, and most people would be like, what, a wrestler? That's a gift, that's a purpose. Yes, it is, because there's another little boy or another little girl out there who was just in his shoes and who looks at him as the biggest thing in the world and wants to be just like him. And maybe they see him and say, you know what, I can do that too. Just like when he was a little boy and he saw John Cena or he saw Roman Reigns, he said, you know what, I can do that too. Kurt Angle, RVD. I know I'm going kind of off topic, but it's important that um we take the time out to figure out what our purpose is. Also, not only your passion, your strength, your values, take the time out and pray. Talk to God about it. Proverbs, you can look in the book of Proverbs, I believe it's chapter 3, um where it talks about just not leaning on your own understanding. Proverbs 3 verses 5 through 6. Go when you have a chance to go back, just read it, and get guidance. Like, God will truly guide you on your journey to finding your purpose. having mentors in your life, people that you can talk to about trying to find your purpose. I know sometimes it's not as easy as said than done, but there's hope. There is hope. There's hope in finding your future. There's hope in figuring out what it is that you want to do. If I have any advice, is to go in prayer and say, God, show me what it is my purpose is. Show me, reveal to me what it is that you want me to do here on earth. And if you are sensitive to God's voice, if you are taking the time out to listen to truly look for the sign of what he's trying to show you, you will see that sign. And I know some people are like, well, how do I know what's from God? God is not anxious. He's not angry. God is love. He's peace. So whatever it is that you have peace in that situation, if it's peaceful, if your heart is at ease and not all anxious, then it's probably for you. Sometimes, the enemy will bring fear and doubt, but I definitely want to talk about that next week about the obstacles that we face when we're trying to find our passion. I also want to talk about the steps to take to find your passion. But I definitely want to talk about that next week. So this gives you a time to soak it in. The reason, this episode is about the reason to finding your purpose, understanding your purpose, what you are designed to, who are you designed to be, who God created you to be. And I just want to leave you off with a Bible verse. One of my favorite Bible verses since a young girl, Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And sometimes I have to tell myself that daily, especially when things are not going as planned or not going as I hoped they would go. I have to remind myself, like, God gave me he gave me plans that will prosper me, not to harm me. He gave me plans that are hopeful and a future. So if you're ever feeling down, you're thinking, "Oh, my life is just going horrible, going wrong." No, that is not how God intended for you to live. You are a child of God. That is your identity. You are a child of God, and the plans he has for you is not to harm you. He has plans to give you a hope and a future. There is hope no matter where you are in life. I don't care if you're 50, I don't care if you're 20, I don't care if you're 16, if you're 80. You have hope and you have a future as long as your blood is going through your veins and your heart is still pumping. You have a hope in the future and you still have a purpose. It doesn't matter. You're never too late. The only time it's too late is when you're gone and you're 6 feet under, you're under the ground. That's the only time when it's too late. But then is it too late? Because you won't know what's going on. So as long as you are breathing, you have a purpose. It doesn't matter your background. It does not matter your color. It does not matter about your beliefs. What matters is that you are stepping in your purpose. You are doing what God called you to do, and you are being who He called you to be. That I get inspired by all kinds of people around the world. I truly do. And sometimes they are not believers in Christ, to believe it or not. But God still uses them in my life to help me move forward, to help me see things positive, to just help transform my perspective. But at the end of the day, my heart is still anchored in Christ. My heart is still anchored in Jesus. I'm never going to leave Jesus, but God can use anybody. He can use your next door neighbor. He can use, your friend across the hall. He can use someone at school. God can use anybody. And most importantly, God can use you too. So I encourage you this week to really dive deep onto what your purpose is and who you are. Who are you? Without your name, without your work title, without who you are at home, if you're a mom, if you're a sister, without all those titles, what is your identity? And what is your purpose? What is your meaning to life? You guys, I love you so much, and I thank you for listening to this episode today. We are on season 3. We will not stop. We're going to continue. Just remember, I love you, but God loves you more. And stay tuned next week for a part 2. We are going to be talking about the steps to discovering your purpose, and we are going to be talking about obstacles that you face and how to overcome those obstacles. So stay tuned.